Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox. Bunyan was a giant lumberjack. He stood 63 axe handles high, give or take a handle. When Paul shouted timber and swung his axe, 100 trees would fall. Back in Paul's day, America was growing fast, and the people needed wood to build houses in the towns. Farmers needed wild land cleared so they could grow crops. Paul showed an early talent for knocking down trees. As a baby, he rolled over in his sleep one night and knocked down a mile of Maine forest. He always knew he'd be a lumberjack, and soon it was time to follow his dream. "I'm off to log the North Woods," he told his parents. "Good luck, Sam," they did. "Watch where you step." Paul got a job at a logging camp. Chopping down trees was easy, but the whisper wished he had someone to help him haul the logs to the river. Then came the winter of the blue snow. Beautiful blue snow fell for days. Paul came across a snowdrift as big as a house with no hairy blue ears sticking out of it. "Moo," it softly bellowed. Paul lifted those ears, and out came a sickly baby ox that had been stuck in the snow. The ox was blue all over from the cold. Paul brought the ox back to camp and cared for him all night. In the morning, the ox was feeling better, but stayed blue. He licked Paul on the neck. Paul laughed. "I'll call you Babe," he said. Then went off to Michigan, where Paul set up his own logging camp. Babe grew like crazy and soon was so big that the father could hardly see him end to end. None of the local watering holes were big enough for Babe to drink from. Paul solved that problem by using his axe to dig the Great Lakes. Paul's logging camp was filled with hundreds of lumberjacks. They were a hungry bunch, and their favorite food was pancakes. More pancakes, they'd call, but the cook didn't make enough. Sort of Sam, the chief cook, feared that the men would quit if they didn't get more pancakes. "Don't worry, Sam, I'll solve this," Paul said. And thought about the problem a while. Then he had the baby disappeared. About a week later, Baby returned to camp pulling an iron griddle. That griddle was a mile wide if it was an inch. Paul had it built in a big city. When Sam saw the griddle, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. "Now we are cooking," he cried. Paul ordered a fire built under the griddle. Babe, eager to help, drank all the water out of the lake. The cooks used the empty lake bed as a bowl to mix the batter in. Men strapped slabs of ballast onto their boots and skated around on slabs of bacon onto their boats and skated around on the griddle. When it was all greased up, the cooks powered with the batter. Soon, 500,000 pancakes were bubbling on a griddle. There was even a pipeline of syrup going straight to the table. The lumberjacks were finally happy, and no one ever quit Paul's camp. Those pancakes were too good. When the logging was done in one spot, Paul simply lifted the camp onto wheels and Babe pulled it to a new place. One time, they sat down their camp next to a twisty river in Wisconsin. That river was so crooked that the logs the lumberjacks sent floating down would end up in an awful jam. For weeks at a time, the sawmills downriver were waiting. Sawmills downrivers were waiting for logs that never came. Paul sat picking his teeth with a pine tree while he thought about the problem. Paul et al. His blacksmith forged a giant chain. He looked one end of the chain to bake the harness, and the other ends to twist the river. Pull, babe, he commanded, and the babe pulled. Sweet powered off, babe, but the river wouldn't budge. Harder, Paul said. Babe grunted and pulled harder. The muscles on his neck stood out like tree roots. His leg dug in the earth, and his belly nearly touched the ground, but the old river was uncrooked as ever. Then Paul saw the bend in the river. Gave a shiver. "It's working," he cried. Babe let out a bellow that it was hard all the way to Kansas. He gave a manly tug, caused the river to snap like a whip. Then, with a crack, it lay straight as a flagpole. Every cheered, Paul stuck out his chest with pride, so much that his buttons popped off his shirt. Paul and the babe went on too many more great things. They were last seen walking in the vast wilderness of Alaska. Folks up there say they still sometimes hear a merry voice in the woods. Mighty voice in the woods, calling out timber, followed by a rumbling moo.